First of all, I want to thank all the people that shown support to me and my family, like Andy and others. As you see, I'm fine, alive and kicking. And to you, Bobby Gas, although we have different of opinion, you sub to my channel, it's very nice of you. So in this video I want to talk about a very disputable issue, the Palestinian refugees problem. And I will continue when I finished before. And just to recap, UN decision decided to end in 1947 the British mandate and to establish here in Palestine two states, one Jewish, one Arab. Now the Arabs refused to accept this resolution and immediately started a war against the Jewish population here. And the Jews had defensive forces here, and in a very difficult situation, and after bitter fighting, they won the upper hand. Then in the midst of fighting, and after the last British soldier left the country, the leader of the Jewish population here, David BenGurion, decided to declare the independence of the state of Israel, the Jewish state, the democratic Jewish state. And immediately the day after, the neighboring Arab countries like Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, and other countries, Arab countries, decided to invade the new state and basically to destroy her by military force. Okay, now fortunately they were so divided, they were so unprepared, I think not really enthusiastic to fight abroad, while the Jews fought for their lives, that Israel won the day, won the war, and doubled its territory from the UN resolution just 1 year before. By the way, this is called, of course, the War of Independence of Israel, lasted 1.5 years, while the Arabs, or the Palestinians, called it the Nakba, the disaster. Why the disaster? So now we are entering the problem of the Palestinian refugees. It's a very important problem, very important question, because the Palestinians see it as the main argument against Israel when they are dealing with her. And the main argument is basically that Israel have responsibility to the problem, the Palestinian refugees, because Israel expelled them from their homes and made them become refugees. The Palestinians insist that the refugees return to their previous homes. You are now, until today, you are now, of course, talking not the first generation, but the second and third generation of refugees. And I think, I think that this is the main obstacle for solving Palestinian problem, or solving, or achieving peace between us, the Israelis, and the Palestinians. Now, we need to ask ourselves, that Israel is responsible for this problem, Palestinian refugees. If you watched my previous videos, you can understand that in the general sense, the Palestinians need to blame, I think, themselves and the Arab world, because they then, and many of them still now, not all of them now, refuse to accept a Jewish sovereignty on part of the land, any part of the land. And the Arab nation as a whole, and please remember, they got 20 countries, 20 states, more than 20 states, more. And Israel is the one and only Jewish state in the world. This is in the general sense where the responsibility lies. But when you are entering what was really happened during the war, in 1947, in 1948, you're entering a very complicated field. What was the exact reason why the majority of the Palestinians decided then to leave their homes and to flee to the neighboring countries and becoming refugees? The question still bothering many people today, and historians, and the historians from the region and all around the world gave three explanations. The first one is that the majority of the Palestinians left their homes upon the call of the Arab leaders at that time to leave, because they will return soon enough with triumphant armies that will defeat the Jews and Israel. Of course, that was not to happen, of course. Second explanation is that the Palestinians live again by their own decision, because they were afraid of from the advancing retaliation of the Jewish and the Israeli army. And third explanation is that they left by force. When the IDF, the Israeli force, the Israeli Defense Force, had occupied the territories, they expelled them by force. Now, this question is still today quite disputable. And I myself think, as I'm not alone in this, many others, many historians, unbiased, think that it's the combination of the three. There was a call by the Arab leader to flee. There was a call. And many of the Palestinians also were afraid of what will happen to them when the Jews will come. By the way, this is of course unsubstantial fear. Unsubstantial fear. But it's war, and there was a fear like it. Third, indeed, the IDF in some of the places was responsible for deporting part of the population from their homes. Why was that? There was no official policy to remove people from their home. No official policy. But the government of Israel, of the new states, in the midst of war, decided to encourage the Palestinians to leave their homes, because it was worried to rule over people that were considered as their enemies, as their enemy. Again, I think this is a war, because the Palestinians had started the conflict and the bloodshed. It was just right to worry what will happen to the new country after the war. A country that will have to bring the what was left of the Jewish population, the refugees, the Jewish refugees after the war, after the Holocaust in Europe. Can it survive an internal Palestinian enemy within it? But as I said, the decision to leave was mainly an independent decision of the Palestinian population itself. Now, please remember that in 1948, when the ceasefire agreements between Israel and the neighboring countries, the neighboring Arab countries, was signed in Rhodes, and the Arab countries still refused at that time, when the ceasefire agreement was signed in 1949, they still refused to recognize the state of Israel and to make peace with them. Israel was still in a conflict with its neighboring countries and the Palestinians. That both the neighboring countries and the Palestinians wanted its destruction. And please remember that Israel at that time didn't occupy the Golan Heights in the north. It was occupied by Syria. The West Bank in the east was occupied by Jordan and East Jerusalem, or the Gaza Strip and Sinai, that was occupied by Egypt. Israel was in its green borders that were recognized, the borders, by the United Nations in 1949, and Israel were accepted with its borders as a full member of the UN. But still, the conflict had just begun. And I will continue in my next videos. Till then, take care, bye bye, peace, and Happy New Year to all the Jews around the world. Rosh Hashanah, Chag Sameach, bye bye, thank you.